is not just each of our countries, each of our communities and states in the United States has their own specific sets of challenges, but collectively we all recognize that the provision of safe drinking water, support for clean waters throughout the country and the world is critical to the sustainability of human life on this planet. And we all face challenges in providing enough water, providing water of the appropriate quality to sustain our populations, to sustain our communities, to sustain the... So it's really a shared problem that nations across the world are addressing, each in our own way. In the course of my career in EPA and in the water program, I've had the opportunity to go across the United States to see the different ways in which our states and communities are grappling with the challenges and the ways in which they work with EPA in addressing these challenges. But I've also had the privilege of technology are grappling with water challenges. And again, I think we're starting maybe from different places in some cases, but we are really addressing this vision of clean and safe water for all people on this planet, for all the ecosystems that are supported by the planet. So it's a great vision. It's a privilege to be part of this sort of collective community of individuals across the world who are trying to address this vision. It is one of the important challenges of this century, a challenge we have to get right, a challenge which will take the best of our social innovation, the best of our technical innovation, and the best of our communities. So it's a great thing to be part of, but a daunting challenge. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the immediate challenges that we face in the United States, which is similar in some respects to many other countries, but not necessarily identical. Talk a little bit about the role that we see EPA playing internationally, and then talk a little bit about some of the things that we're working on to promote innovation that will hopefully work for not just the United States, but for the world. So first of all, in the U.S., like many countries, we continue to urbanize. 80% of our population lives in 10% of the land. Urbanization is a natural process as folks migrate to places where economic opportunities exist, where and reflect the ability of our agriculture to have fewer and fewer people support more and more of the population. That's a natural process, but urban environments, although they're great places to live for many people, create significant economic stresses on our water systems, the stresses to provide sufficient and adequate water on a reliable and safe basis to the growing populations, which are being stressed everywhere in the world, but also the impacts on the natural systems associated with the runoff from urbanized waters, disrupting the natural ecological and hydrological cycles, as well as transport to the water, are growing challenges that EPA. Similarly, the growth in nutrient discharges, principally nitrogen and phosphorus, into our waters from a variety of sources. Agriculture is a major source. Significant progress that is made in the United States over the last 40 years. I don't know how many of you got to hear the plenary speaker this morning, but he talked about the fact that, waters are no longer burning in the United States. We got that part of it right, and now we're facing a second generation of problems that are not as susceptible to some of the solutions that we had for the first generation, and we're working on that. A third challenge for the United States is that having invested and built in a tremendous infrastructure to supply safe drinking water for the majority of our population, overwhelming majority of our population, and collect and manage urban wastewater, we're facing a deterioration due to our failure to maintain that infrastructure investment. So we've got to up our game there. We can't continue to neglect that. At the same time, we have to move that infrastructure into a more modern technology frame so that we certainly fix the problem, we fix the leaks in our systems, we fix the 40% of drinking water that gets lost in New Orleans, and perhaps not as much, but similar percentages in other parts of the country. But at the same time, we prepare the smart networks, we prepare the next generation of technology that turns waste management into resource reclamation for both providing sources of safe water, safe drinking water, and water for other uses, as well as recovering energy and nutrients from our wastewater streams.
This is the opening of the Global Center program.
Investing in that
the opening of the Global Center program.
Literally,
we have Mr. Shapiro speaking.
Existing systems. So those are some of the main challenges we face. We, of course, also face what generally is referred to emerging contaminants, which have been around for...
Michael Shapiro joined the Office of Water as the Deputy Assistant Administrator in November 2002. Prior to that, he was the Principal Deputy Assistant Administrator for Office of Solid Waste and Emergency Response, OSWA.
But also, if necessary,
Mr. Shapiro has also served as Director of the Office of Solid Waste and Deputy Assistant Administrator for the Office of Air and Radiation, where he directed implementation of the 1990 Clean Air Act amendments from 1980 to 1989.
And share our experiences throughout the world. We do that in a number of ways.
Mr. Shapiro held a variety of positions in the Office of Pesticides and Toxic Substances, where one of his responsibilities was developing EPA's toxic release inventory. Mr. Shapiro has a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the High and a PhD in Environmental Engineering from Harvard.
It does two things. First of all,
he has also taught in the Public Policy Program at John F. Kennedy School of Government.
Water pollution and providing drinking water in this country. We often do that jointly. Institutional designs to provide governance around drinking water and wastewater that can be applicable more broadly around the world. We recognize that we in the U.S., because of our aggressive water pollution control and drinking water. So someone got added at the last minute, but that is just terrific.
The Global Center opening event with Mr. Shapiro giving in the opening address.
To discuss these problems is a way of sharing ideas, sharing technologies, sharing approaches to solving problems. In the U.S., we found that a regulatory program with enforcement, integrity and implementation is a key part of the solution. But so too are creative partnerships among environmental groups, business sector, and government. And solving some of the problems that are not easily addressed through some of our more structured regulatory systems and enhance the process of finding creative solutions even within our regulatory system. So finally, I talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing to encourage innovation in the water arena in this country. The EPA has its own research program, the Office of Research and Development. They have done some groundbreaking work on the technology side as well as monitoring risk assessment side.